Hello, 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 hello. Today is March 31st. It's already March, the end of March. Can you believe it? It has been Women's Month all month long, and I know I didn't get a chance to do as many episodes because in Women's Month, I need to take a little time for myself too. So it helps me to remember, hey, you've been doing a lot. You've been doing a lot. Let's try to throw it back a little bit, roll it back, and get a little bit of rest and relaxation. Some people were asking about the aquarium that I showed, the smaller 20-gallon aquarium, live planted aquarium, where I planted um, aquarium plants using a different type of gravel that was more suitable to plant life. And that I have to say is thriving far better than the one that I did on the bigger aquarium, where I used just regular gravel and I attached Anubis plants and everything. But you saw in the video, that it does work, especially if no one, tampers with it. So anyway, you can't do too much tampering. This aquarium hasn't had very much tampering with it. So I was like, okay, I'll show it in the background in this episode, or maybe do it a couple of times from this point on, because it was set up so that everybody can see it. So everything I showed you in the easy aquariums, how to do easy aquariums, this is effective. So you don't have to do a lot of work. It's not a lot of effort. And all the things that I told you to put in there and everything, you're like, well, that's a large investment, or that's a lot of work, or whatever you may think, it's effective. So here it is. All right. So I wanted to start off with that. Um, to give people time to come in because I am late. It has been a bit of an arduous day for me, getting back into the groove of things after taking a bit of a relaxation. It was spring break for my kids. So I was like, okay, now we go take a little bit of a break and try to relax myself as well. So I haven't really been getting much sleep because I've been trying to have so much fun and doing some things, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to do something different. I got calluses on my fingers from trying to have a little bit of fun. And I was like, oh man, what was I doing? I was playing Call of Duty, the zombie version. And I was like, learning how to do it. Some people, they don't want to learn things or new things and call that fun, but I like to do different things. So I was learning how to do that. I met a couple of people, and they had me gripping that remote control so hard I developed calluses. So it's like, so all the signs and effects of me having a little bit of fun. But anyway, hopefully you were watching my previous episodes, and if you haven't seen it yet, please go back and watch it, because there's some things that's being said on there that's helping mental health and awareness, especially in this modern era. I show you that regardless of who you are, what your status is, and the era, the data that we learn, the information, the facts that we learn previously from centuries old philosophers or people who have written books like the Bible or whatever, all these historical figures who wrote information that we try to dismiss for whatever reason. It's history in there that we need so we can grow on and continue to help ourselves to understand, well, why do I know this? How do I know this? um what is going on with my mental health? I don't understand why my mental health is so disturbed in this era, when it seems like these actions are repetitive. And it's like, if this is what I've been going through all of these years, you would imagine that now I would have some adaptation to it, where I've adopted the the ideologies, that the thoughts and concepts, that this doesn't bother me anymore, that this is just the norm, the quote unquote norm. This is how things should be. Go back and watch that last episode that I just did, so you can understand a little bit better. Okay, a lot of times we're not aware, and we're triggered to these awarenesses. So we need to understand why. And I know, because a lot of times in studies in academia, people were studying things like, oh well, Why are we studying this and why is it important to know this information? Well, in academia, they were doing it so that they can make a profit, so that they can tell other organizations, well, this is how we verify that this information is valuable. So we're going to study it so that we can control how much profit we make, or how much profit um, we can control in a given physical year, a financial year. So a lot of times we don't know where that information came from, and we're like, well, how did the industry or the organization know how to do this? Where did they get that? What is the grassroots of that? Because a lot of times people want to take that information and grow their own business and say, okay, well, I want to grow my own business, I want to open my own business, I don't want to work for anyone else, I want my own generational wealth, as opposed to me perpetuating someone else's generational wealth. And it's messing with them mentally, because they're like, I'm fed up with answering to anyone else. I want to be the boss. I want to be in control. I want to run the numbers and do things my way. And I want to prosper. And they can see that a lot of times the things that people are doing are not necessarily in alignment with um, um, credible things. I'm trying really hard to say things nicely. Uh, they say things is not done in a credible way, and they're like, well, I could have did it better, especially if you're not going to be as credible as we're really looking for you to be. Hey, Daddy Lee, I appreciate you and Mama Charlotte um watching the show. This is an interactive show. I forgot to mention that. I don't know if I have to mention it like every episode, but I probably should. This is an interactive uh show where we do talk about current events and different things that impact mental health. Um, so please feel free to comment and ask questions if you have any questions. I just wanted to do that little icebreaker and get right into things, because I know I'm a little behind, so I feel a little pressed. Plus, I don't do the whole lights, camera, action thing. So I'm really nervous all the time in front of the camera, and I'm more of a listener than a talker. So, I guess that's, psychologist. So there you go. But anyway, a lot of times people, they want to understand better, why is there such a strong correlation with my mental health and my daily practices with school, with work. And now a lot of people are being laid off from their work, so they're looking for other avenues to gain financial wealth. And I'm trying to tell you, I've already tried to show you in my book, Generational Wealth, Information Asymmetry and Your Success. Is on Amazon.com, or you can go to Lulu.com and search for it there. You can even ask for it for wherever books are sold. But I try to explain it to you very succinctly there in a really brief way. A lot of times, like I said in my last episode, go and look at that episode so you can understand what I'm saying about these books and how it relates to you. And I didn't like to read either, but it is what it is. You're not going to know. You're not going to have the verification that you need and you're looking for to substantiate a firm foundation in your mental health if you're not um, doing taking these necessary steps. And a lot of times people gaslighting you, and you're like, well, I don't understand why I'm feeling this type of way. Well, you're feeling that way because you understand you're being gaslit. In the previous episode, I explained it in greater detail. Just watch the episode, put it in the background, and don't watch it, just listen to it. But I would prefer you watch it, because I gave a great deal of visuals so you can know and have the physical manifestation of the things. Because with mental health, we think of mental health as being something that's intangible, something you cannot put your hands on. But you can put your hands on it because your brain is on it, and it's manifested in your works and throughout your hands and the things that you say. The human mind and behavior is all the same. Your mind and your behavior is one. So though it's mental and it's not necessarily able to be touched like you could touch this phone, it's you are still touching it, just like you touching the air you're breathing. It's just touching it in a different way. So please go back and watch that episode. Um, in this episode, I want to talk about a couple of different things. First, I want to talk about how we're seeing that sheep mode is really sleep mode, and how we manipulate those words in order to push particular narratives. Previously, we were saying how people are sheep, and they're following different things blindly, meaning they're following based on Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. The feeling of belonging, the feeling of personal fleshly fulfillment. And it's like that wasn't enough, because you can't remove spiritual aspect, because there's something missing, and that spiritual aspect is making your mental health imbalanced. It doesn't say, oh well, you should follow a particular faith or anything like that. It's just the fact that there's something missing, and you're like, well, how do I know, and why do I feel that way? Well, this is why, because you weren't made to not feel that way, and you have to grow and develop in that way, and otherwise it's imbalanced, and people take advantage of that, and that's where you get a lot of sheep and gaslighting from knowing that you are innately understanding that this is the wrong way. Some people may ask, if people are such sheep, why not be upfront and honest instead of having ulterior motives and perpetuating undesirable acts while lying, claiming to help? Well, there's this thing called sheep mode, which is really sleep mode or asleep mode. And there's trigger words that jar sleeping sheep awake. Then the lullabies or lies will cause a domino effect called inevitable consequences. What's that? It's inevitable that you remember you who you are and start acting like it. It's inevitable that you stop responding to bad actors, then prevent bad actors from causing undesirable consequences. It's inevitable you be the helpmeet or the head God called you, and stop answering to names like female dog, the hard R, stupid sleeping sheep, or uneducated or educationables, because they didn't teach you what you know, and you failed to be conditioned to behave the way they wanted. Now, a large part of that comes from the fact that they ingrained into you while you were in school and in school age, they was like ingraining the information into you that they wanted you to behave like, because centuries old philosophers said, well, this is how we've decoded the human brain and behavior, so let's use that to our advantage. Whereas a lot of other people was like, well, that information wasn't supposed to be used to manipulate people, to try to control them, to try to advance your personal narrative or your personal generational wealth. It was intended to inform and to help people understand, this is how we know. This is why we do the things we do. This is why, for example, the Native Americans, they was like, well, this is when the colonizers came, and they were asking, well, why do you prepare the grounds the way you do? And it was like, well, this is why we do the things we do. This is how we know what it is to come, and what to expect, and how to prepare for these things. And a lot of times it was like they dismissed the grassroots, and that was um, a perpetuated theme throughout America, because they fled from monarchies in the more developed countries, the more well-established country, to flee to other areas so that they can do what they want to do and avoid what was more reasonable, what was more sound. Hey Eddie, I appreciate you for coming and being in the comments. Appreciate that too. Hey Sean Anthony, appreciate you being there as well. So what they couldn't predict, though, was the impact it would have on people's mental health in trying to force this this false narrative and continue to push this false narrative. And now we're seeing these things, like I said in the last episode, we're seeing these quote unquote isolated incidents more often occurring and reoccurring. And it's like, where did this come from? How can we predict this? How can we prevent it? How can we be safe? How can we feel safe? I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying to help you, but I I can only go so deep. So you gotta watch the episodes. They're free. Okay. Now I want to talk about a different thing. Um, you asking the same questions and you're not understanding why it's causing you to grow increasingly enraged and further damage your mental health because you're not following through. It's that follow through. Okay, it's that follow through that we need in order to continue to develop and increase our mental health. And it's like you're asking the same questions and you're driving yourself mad, constantly asking, why can't the known broken system fix anything? What? The real question is, why are you asking the same question expecting different results? Why are you doing that? You were conditioned to. But anyway, how can unqualified workers perform like they're qualified for the job? That's another question. What? Okay. Well, they can cover the overqualified workers by stealing from them, falsely claiming their work because as their own, because they are the authoritarian over the overqualified worker. How's that working out for you? Anyway, this has been the case since forced cultural appropriation into the white corporate industrial workplaces in America. So, this purge of the workforce is not just targeting minorities, but those who were not qualified get hired anyway because they were white. So, we're seeing that purge in the workforce. But you expected it to be done more effectively. You were tired of the mess too, though. So it's like, but yeah, I expected it to be done more effectively. So it will only happen to the targeted group, right? Well, then when has that ever been the case when you have unqualified authorities leading the charge? So you can't, that's not a realistic expectation, is it? It's like going to into war with a drum and drumsticks because the one leading the charge has a drum and drumsticks. No one wants to be that guy. And why? Because that's going to mess with that person's mental health. The other team that you're opposing, they have guns. But your leader has a drum and drumsticks. And so you feel compelled by Maslow's hierarchy of human needs to also have a drum and drumsticks. Why? Because they look like you and you want to look like them, and you like, well, this is what they doing, so this is what I'm doing. What? Right. So I'm just saying that's where you come in to the idea and understanding of how the submissive and the subservient kind of start to divide itself more clearly. The submissive means, okay, I have a thought process. I have a will. I have a free will of my own, and that's my mental health. And now I'm going to use that to submit to whomever is in charge or whomever is the person that I'm saying is the head over me, whether it's in your faith-based community, whether it's your household and you're a spouse and you're like, well, I'm going to do this because it's going to make my house a lot happier. Happy wife, happy life. Or a woman who is saying, well, the head of the house is the man. I know he wrong, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm going to choose my battles as opposed to go against the grain. That's submissive. But subservient is you don't have a mind. You don't have a free will. You don't think for yourself and do for yourself, and you don't act for yourself. Bad actors get to act improperly and you just follow it. And you're like expecting that that's not going to hurt your mental health. You're expecting that it's going to only be isolated incidences where small number of anomalies are having these very visual and present mental breakdowns. in places that we can't actually predict where it's going to happen. That's what happens when you try to turn people who have a submissive will to being a subservient will and act. That's what we're seeing. That's what's manifesting so often and being so repetitive now. And that's why the last episode that I did, where I showed you a bunch of books, that's why it was important to show you that, so you can understand you're not going crazy. These things that's happening are pushing you to behave in a particular way that is unpredictable, because they didn't equate that in their studies. They couldn't know it. They couldn't know it because the people who were trying to tell them, they didn't listen. They didn't listen to those people. For example, the dissertation that I wrote, there was more studies to be done to help bring the awareness to academia and to the global industrial organization, so that they have a better understanding of the grassroots, so that they can mold it to be more profitable in a substantial way, as opposed to having it fluctuate so much that it's like it's uncontrollable. And not only is it uncontrollable, but it's causing damage in such a way that it's like people's mental health is at such a point where it's like we can't even control the people who would otherwise do right. We don't even know what they're going to do, because we have mentally pushed them to a point where they're not even aware of what they're doing. They're not even aware that they accidentally slipped and said something, what academia calls a Freudian slip, or what people, scholarly philosophers and things like that, they call a Freudian slip, where you accidentally tell the truth and you didn't even know, and what's in you came out of you in such a way that you couldn't control it. You couldn't hold it back. You couldn't be concerned about somebody else's feelings. You couldn't be concerned about their mental health and say, oh well, you didn't care about the currency that it was going to prevent you, because, well, it is what it is. The cat's out the bag. I can't hold it no more. I just can't do it anymore. This is where we are. And it is not the isolated incidents that was predicted in the business performer, when people wrote the performer out, because people who were qualified to tell you these things were not at the table. People who were educated enough to tell you this is not going to work out like that, they pushed them out the room, because they said, well, you said you would like us. You said you would do what we're saying. You said you would be on board. So, but you're not going along with our narrative. So basically what they were saying is, we don't care. This is what we're going to do. We don't care. This is what we're going to do. So, regardless of it being right, wrong, or feeling indifferent, or whether it was going to greatly hinder prosperity and generational wealth, we don't care. This is what we're going to do. And there is where you come in, what I said with the previous episode. Please go watch it. Where you have the physical manifestation of work and the currency, the fluctuating value of currency. We don't care about the fluctuating value of currency, because we have a narrative that we want to push regardless of how much this is going to fluctuate. But because these are the two foundations that we have grounded our mental health in, when we start to mess with these two things too much and it begins to waver too much, there you have your mental health problem, your mental health imbalances that's causing these mental health breaks in unpredictable ways. Was it unpredictable that these people were going to go postal? No, because why does the word postal even exist if that were the case? What I'm saying is, like you saw those PhD students with the Batman premiere, where he went out to he was angry at the school, his PhD program, but he went all the way away from that campus, went all the way to a particular location which nobody could have ever predicted he would go to, because there was no signs, there was no warning, there was nothing. He wasn't mad at the theater. He wasn't mad at the writers union. He wasn't mad at those people. He was mad at the school. He was a PhD student, and he went to the theater and shot up the theater, and nobody was able to predict that. What about the other PhD student who he left his college and his college campus and wreaked havoc on a whole nother location that wasn't even in his state? He traveled a long way just to have this mental break, and he was strategic in it. And people want us to believe that these are isolated incidents because it's not always reported. But it's not isolated incidents, and it's not specific to the uneducatables. It's not specific to the people who are in these brick and mortar schools or online schoolings where they're being contrived to have these particular behaviors. They're being set up to behave in these ways that are more predictable. It's not like that. And why? Because the people who were educated enough to know what I said in the last episode, how they know, they were pushed out of the room. So when those studies were being conducted and these processes were being developed so that they can implement these processes, they were out of the room. They were pushed out of the room. So now you have more of a chaotic environment and era, because those people who were qualified to say this is the way it's going to turn out, this is the processes we should follow, these are directives and the steps that we should take, that was like, oh, well, you wasn't there. You wasn't there. Let's see what these comments are. What'd you say? Hey, Cash Money is like that. Yes, it's like that. Hey, I appreciate you commenting, Cash Money. Hey, Jackie, how you doing, sis? Hey, I'm glad. Jackie says, hey, I'm glad I made it. I pray all is well with you and your family. Yes, all is well. I hope everything's well with you. I pray that everything's good with you, sis. And I miss you. I'm just gonna say that I miss you. But I know you watching the previous episodes. I know you're watching the recordings. I know that you're loyal, so I know you're getting it, and you have some really valuable input that you do contribute. So please feel free to continue to contribute those things. So another thing I wanted to add out here, there was a point during Women's Month, they had stated that in the news, they stated that they researched women's hair, African Americans braiding hair. Let me ask you this, because a lot of people are saying, a lot of people are saying, thanks, sis. What'd you say? Like from BO6. Cash Money said, like from BO6. Look, a lot of people were saying that they studied this braided hair. Where was your studies before? What was your studies before now? Why is it so relevant now that you go out of your way to study some hair from a community that you went out of your way to quote unquote marginalize? What is going on? This is a mental health situation that people are asking. And they're like, what? Why are you coming out of the blue right now and saying these things? And what are we supposed to do about it? Because now we're so deeply rooted in going natural that this braided hair that you talking about is killing us. You telling us don't use it. What are we supposed to do now? Well, women's hair is a strong correlation to their mental health and well-being. A lot of people were saying when they saw hair that they would go and purchase, it would have this mark on there that says FDA approved, which is Food and Drug Administration approved. What does that mean? Let me tell you. Please stop saying something is phony because it has an FDA approval rating sticker on it, but it's not edible. It is not about it being edible. Please stop saying products which touch your skin are phony because it says it's food grade quality. Ladies, it's your prerogative how you want to style your hair and what products you see and and use to beautify yourself. But please be aware what you're doing in choosing products. Recently, the mainstream media, um, or they newly stated they tested synthetic hair used by many African Americans for styling and protecting their hair and for hair growth, but they didn't state what prompted their new interest. But they found synthetic hair has harmful chemicals in it, which causes various illnesses like cancer. We're aware permanent products can cause cancer, but hair was never tested before. Some hair dyes can also cause cancer and other health concerns. So be aware of your choices. A lot of times people are like, well, I don't believe what you're saying because where were you before? I understand how difficult it is in trying to, style hair. It's time consuming and styles of hairs, even when you're professional and you went to school to style hair. Even if you're a professional, it's time consuming and it can be an arduous task. I recently went all natural 3 years ago. My hair is still growing back to the length it was before I cut it 16 inches off. 4C hair is very difficult to manage, especially without help. So I know that we look for things to make things easier, like, braided hair or stuff like that. What you say, Steppa K? Hi, Tinia's grandpa. Hey, grandpa. I see you got a different oh, grandpa slime. Okay. That's all right, all right, all right. I see you. So a lot of people were like doing the big chop. I did it too because I didn't want permed hair and I came to learn a little bit more. I was too busy doing academia and doing all these studies and had my nose in a book somewhere to know, or not to know, but to care too much about those things that I couldn't change. I'm one of those type of people. If I can't change it, I just accept it and try to, pray my way through it and just think it's going to be okay until I can do something about it. And it's like, man, what am I going to do about it now? Now that I don't have my nose so far in a book that I have to address these things. So I did the big chop too, because I saw I didn't want those chemicals to limit my health. And I know from watching Dr. Sanjay Gupta, if you give yourself enough time to heal, your body can actually heal from the damages that we do to it. Now, this is not an episode. This I don't do a show based on um, anything outside of facts. These are facts. I understand people's opinions, but Dr. Sanjay Gupta studied these things in depth for his lifetime. So he's a master of the information that he presented. So you might want to get his books. It'll have to be the older ones. Go back to my last episode so I can show you why and how you know what you know in those books that you get that are not revised and edited for a contrived purpose. But anyway, back to the hair. Um, so I want you to understand that I totally understand the desire to find fast and easy ways to manage hair. Maybe everyone wants the best hairstyle money can buy, but most people will settle for the best hair mood they can stand or tolerate. I can't stand. I'm not in the mood to be combing all this hair. It's too much. Yeah, I'm going to show you some things that I've done so you can see that as well. But anyway, there's numerous social media influences showing women how to style their hair and make best decisions given different hairstyles, time, and money. Now is the time to consider hairstyles you can manage on your own because the economy and reports which prove other methods of hairstyles pose chemicals possess chemicals that potentially can cause cancer or other health problems. Women's hair is associated with their mental health. When women are stressed, their hair can break off um, and go bald in certain areas, which can last as long as as often as women are stressed or pregnant, or can be more um, permanent. It can be a sign of a more permanent symptom that you need to address, which requires more attention. So you gotta pay attention to your hair. A lot of women are paying attention to their hair. What'd you say, Jackie? I need hair. Give me 4C hair anytime. I feel you, sis. Trust me. So I do try to take care of my hair because I want hair. So I would like to take care of it the best I can. And when I can't take care of it the best I can, I just pray until it holds out until I can get to it. So it's very much evident women's hair is associated with their mental health. So if you're experiencing some issues, try to examine yourself, get a few checkups to test your health, and try to take vitamins, drink water, get sleep, and avoid stress when possible. I'm not a cosmetologist, so I find a pro who can give you more direct answers given your unique situation. Just please be aware of what your choices may lead to and what your hair may be trying to tell you. I know because I don't know, I was like 13, maybe no, yeah, maybe 13. And from 13 all the way until I did the big chop, I was I had the grassroots education of a professional cosmetologist who I learned from in order to be able to do my hair and others' hair, nails, and the things that I did. So I had that education. I know some people, they don't necessarily have that, but I was blessed to have that. What'd you say, Bobby? Some of these hair products can cause cancers as well as baldness. Yes. And a lot of people don't know that. And they don't know why they have things like baldness. And oh, hey, Jackie. Jackie says, I have alopecia. Yes. A lot of times people don't understand what in your body produce these reactions, because you weren't born with it. And when you go back and you look at it, you're like, well, I wasn't born with this. What happened to me? Is it a way I can fix it? What can I do? Now, I'm not saying I'm a professional of alopecia, so I appreciate Jackie's input about alopecia. So, I've seen a lot of women say they have alopecia, and that's a truth and a fact that a lot of people. It takes a lot of courage for people to come out and say. So I appreciate people coming out and informing us of their lived experiences, because that's invaluable facts that we need to know and understand. So I definitely encourage that. Now, there's also some things that I've come to learn of how to help with these braided hairs that because you're like, well, this is what I do. This is what I'm going to do. I'll just wash it out. Can you wash those braided hair chemicals out and be okay? I do not know. The studies did not convey the results of that. So there's that. And again, I'm gonna leave it alone because it's like I don't want to perpetuate any conspiracy theories. But yeah, actually, rewind. I said some things. You might say, I'm just saying. Hi, Mr. Fish Tank. I know, right? Right, Grandpa, I feel you. But I have to be versatile. So anyway, so what can you do? There are some other official sites where you can get braided hair. Black Hair Braids, the official Black Wall Street YouTube channel, shared a few black owned brands of synthetic hair packs people can switch to if you really just gotta have hair extensions. One is the Rebundle. It's the braided better banana fiber hairs. So they use banana fibers. They're using organic chemicals, uh, or organic products as opposed to synthetic chemicals. There's the Nori, the plant-based hair that they use plants to produce the hair. There's Ruka. There's different types of hair. brands there that you can use, and there's Slay, Slayy. Their hair care products also have um, been studied to use the natural, um, biodegradable, naturally produced products to, manifest this hair and produce hair. There's Strands of Faith, and they have a phone number. It's one, you got to dial one first, 601-724-9277. And they sell various types of hair products such as hair oils and things of that nature, so you can, help your hair. And then there's a couple on the Black Wall Street YouTube channel that you can look at. I have listed here about 11 of them, but you can go on there and see for yourself. Why is that important? That's important because presentation is everything. That's why it messes with your mental health. When you presenting yourself, the first thing people look at is your face, your clothes, your hair, your shoes. And if you have all that in all those ducks in a row, then people start to put a monetary value on your presentation. So you want to put your best foot forward. So a lot of times it's not the matter of the fact that you're trying to be conceited or you're trying to, floss or whatever. You're trying to present yourself in a manner in which this monetary value will be um, credited, and you would have the credibility that's in alignment with your mental health, the things that you feel about yourself, the things you want to project about yourself, the things you want to tell other people, that this is what I want you to invest in. This is what I want you to feel about me. This is what I want you to think about me. This is what I want you to understand about me. So when you see people stressing out about what hairstyle they're going to have and how they wear their hair, and you're like, well, what's the big deal? It's a big deal because it's a lot of mental health and monetary gain associated with that. And without that, it's like, well, what are we doing? What are we doing? So the very bare roots of things that we can control, we try to control it in a healthy manner, so it's not killing us at the same time of getting us the things that we want. So we don't need to make decisions based on, well, that's all I got. That's what I got. I can't do any better. And it's like, yeah, you can. You just got to know where to look. And the reason why I told you where to look for the hair is because that is still Women's Month. It's the last day, but we need to understand these things because we need to help these women. We need to help improve their mental health because women nurture the world. They birth the world. And right now we're in a situation where women aren't feel very appreciated. They're not feeling very much appreciated, especially when it's ongoing news where women are getting pregnant, having miscarriages, and they're either dying or going to jail because they're miscarrying. There, it was in the news where a young lady miscarried and she discarded the fetus who was already passed, and she couldn't go to the hospital because she knew that when people are going to the hospital, they're dying, and the doctors are allowing them to pass from things their bodies cannot control. So it's like they don't feel safe in a place where it was established for our mental health, that it is, in fact, a safe place. It's no longer a quote unquote safe space because you can be in the process of miscarrying and in need of that doctor help, but that doctor hands are tied to help you, and instead they allow you to perish instead of helping you. So that's messing with their mental health. And it's very stressful. What you say, Cash Money? So what hair products are you donating for the Black community? Cash Money. I don't think I said I was donating anything. I don't know if you were paying attention. But anyway, Bobby, what you say? It brings a light to the phrase killer looks. Woo. You have a way with words, my brother. I'm just gonna say. But back to donating to the Black community. Let me show you something, Cash Money. I am a professional. I am highly qualified. I am an expert. I'm a master of what I'm telling you. So without me having to push the facts of my credentials to make it seem as though I'm presenting myself to be conceited or something like that, I'm trying to tell you this is my contribution. My volunteer efforts here, which I give for free, this is my donation. And a lot of times people, they only want to see if you're going to pay for it. If I would have made you pay as much as I would make my client pay for the information that I'm providing, which goes into greater detail and more specifically catered to their unique situation, instead of this more broadly general based information that I provide on YouTube, you would have the understanding of how much value I'm actually donating to not just the Black community, but the global community. I'm not specific to one particular community because I'm more concerned about the soul. That is my direct contribution, period. The grassroots. Because you see this money and the material things that we produce from our hands, the poeses and pieces of natural materials that we develop, the various products that we use and call our own works, and we try to put a monetary value on that for trade purposes. Well, all of that, all of that will burn and perish. But our souls, our souls will burn, but it will never perish. That right there is far more invaluable than anything else. So, yes, I do some things for free. I do a great deal of things that cost a lot of money, but I will donate it instead. Why? Because I understand the true value is the value of a soul that I am trying to help, whether it's via mental health, whether it's via generational wealth, because there's information asymmetry and there's knowledge hiding in the information asymmetry in the workplace and the industrial industry in the global trade community. These things, but how can I convey that to you so that you can value it and understand it at a very remedial level? That's what I'm contributing. I'm bringing it in such a remedial level that even the most remedial people who cannot afford it, the people who are poor and cannot afford the things that I'm bringing, the expertise that I'm bringing to the table, the value that I'm bringing, the things that I'm donating, they can't afford it, let alone understand it. So I break it down. I break it down because you need to know this. You need to know that you are not mentally imbalanced for without a contrived purpose. And if you understand the contrived purpose, then you can get a better grip on your mental health so that you can prosper for yourself and your generational bloodline, as opposed to just those people who are you're working for, who is out there being pushed more than you're being pushed. I have been writing for academia for over 20 years. My influence cannot be tracked by my newly established social media following. Before I went to study yet again, I had to drop off and do some more studying. And I left social media, which people were highly urging me to go into so more people can find me and reach me. And I had a large following, over 11,000 followers, and I didn't even have a profile picture up there. I'm just saying, because people gravitate to facts. People want to learn what's wrong, what's going on with me. They don't necessarily say it's something wrong, but they feeling some type of way. They feeling melancholy. And that's what we nowadays say, some type of way. They're feeling emotional and not emotional, or numb and not feeling anything at all. And they want to know why. So I break it down in a way that people can understand. So when people ask me to do a show or episode on something, I'm not online because, oh, I thought so highly of myself. Let me go online and put my 2 cents in. I was asked for many years by homeschooling communities, by military communities, by academia, by faith-based communities, not just Christian-based, not just, Hinduism, Taoism, and Eastern religions, but people who believe in God and want to make that correlation to their mental health so that they can have a more balanced mental health, so that they can be more prosperous tangibly in the world we're living in the life we're leading right now, here today, in the current era that we're in. And it will be perpetuated throughout their generations because they got kids, they have children, they have family members, they have elders that they're trying to take care of, and they want to because they love them and they want to see the best for them. But just because they want to see the best for them does not mean that they don't want to see somebody else prosper, somebody else be okay, somebody who doesn't look like them and not in their bloodline be okay. And I feel like, I may not be the best to bring out this. So I do. I offer and invite people who are professionals and bringing the insight that is required. And people who would like to know, well, are you a master of this? When you become a PhD and you start to not just consume the information, but you start to produce the information. That's what a PhD does, or should. I'm just saying, because that is what I did. That's what I was doing long before I ever went to the PhD program that I went to. I went because I was led to go. And in doing so, I learned a lot of information that I'm sharing with you because it's modern era. It's modern things that's happening in these processes that we don't know about because a lot of people push it under the rug. A lot of people, they go and they sue, and within the lawsuit there's a silence that goes on because you can't tell people. You got to sign a waiver. I'm not going to say anything, I'm going to be quiet about this. No, we need to know. We need to know what's going on for our mental health. So when we see these PhDs going out here, going postal, we understand that it was not an isolated incident. When we see people who don't have a proper education, but they're going postal, we don't say, well, they wasn't educated anyway, so let them go out there and do that. Well, that person was on the spectrum anyway, so we can expect that sort of thing from them. No, it is across the board, regardless of the era, because we now in this era want to ignore the things that we learned previously. And the things we learned previously are facts which don't waver, but we're going to act like it does and dismiss it. And then we have these outcomes that we're like, oh, we couldn't predict it. Yes, you could have predicted it. You just couldn't predict the exact thing that would happen. But you did predict that people will go postal. Yeah, it's not gonna go down the way you think it's gonna go down. Something's gonna happen, and we think that we're protected. That's why you had a whole bunch of people who were like, well, the housing developments, right? They were increasing in how much it costs to live. Living expenses were so drastically increased. You had senators saying the rent is too darn high. You had that. I don't know if you know about it, but it was there on TV, commercial media. So then people was like, forget it. But you didn't see that. You didn't see it until people were until the COVID pandemic, where people was like, oh, don't worry about it. I got a bunker. I got a luxury style bunker. I don't care what happens surface level in the world because I have a bunker to go hide in, so I'll be safe. You didn't see that was already happening, because then when it's like, how do you have a luxury style bunker? COVID just happened. COVID-19 just happened. COVID didn't just happen. The coronavirus didn't just happen, because how could that be? It's nothing new under the sun. It's just now that it's being more pushed, more brought to the surface of awareness to people who can't afford to pay for it, but can't avoid it because it's your modern day. Is happening to you right now on a larger scale, which is unavoidable. So you think to yourself, some people did, how do you have a luxury style bunker when we're just now encountering these experiences? Well, there were signs. The living expenses of living topside, surface side, living in a house. The electricity was the bill was too high. The water bill was too high. Finding a home to purchase was too high. Everything was too high. They're off grid somewhere in a bunker that they prepared, and they didn't care that everything was going to be too high to live in because they had some alternative means. Meanwhile, you looking like, well, man, something got to give. No, they don't care about what's right. They care about what they want to do. So there's a difference between caring about what's the right way and caring about what you want to do. It was for a long time being perpetuated, well, I'm going to do me. You don't have any idea what a lot of people meant by that. You thought it was only in relationships. You thought that it was only the isolated incidences at work where somebody who was educated and qualified and even overqualified for a job lost their job. You thought it was mutually exclusive to you didn't think that. I get riled up, and the time I'm running out of time. My point being, a lot of these things that were lied to people about, we're starting to come into an awareness. We're no longer asleep, and we're no longer sheep because we can't afford to be. Because your mind is not built like that. Go watch the previous episode, the last episode I did, where I show you there's something in the human brain. And I did study it for a little bit before I started to go for my PhD in industrial organizational psychology. I studied it at the doctoral level, but I didn't say anything about it because my uncle Fred Shuttlesworth had Alzheimer's, and I wanted to help because he provided so much for not just the African American community, but for the world, for America, because we think the things that we do here are done in a vacuum, but it's not. And then when we turn around and it's COVID pandemic quarantines, and we're just now being forced to realize we were left out of the awareness that we needed in order to survive by the people, the very people who told us, well, you look like me, you safe, and you with me. I trust you. You my homie. You my ride or die. You my right arm. I can't live without you. But they were already planning to live without you. And you're like, what the heck? I wrote it in my book. It is a very small part of it. And I said, because it's a small book, I said, when the people who were actually being lied to come to understand that they were the ones being lied to, not the quote unquote marginalized groups of people. And then that even kept changing. It kept changing who was classified as quote unquote marginalized. Go figure. Watch a couple of my episodes to understand that in depth. But we see that these things have taken a toll on our mental health and the way we trust people. But it was written in this very old book we call the Bible. You don't have to follow a particular faith in order to read the book and have the facts and understanding. But in that book, it tells you something that's going to help your mental health. It says you can't put your faith in man because man will fail you. So what does that leave you with? It leaves you with the fact that there's a God who cares about all of us, who created all of these things, and he wants you to look to him, whatever pathway you choose, so that you can have the things that you want. Because people gonna promise you the world. I know, I'm a woman. I've been there. Many people, men and women alike, have promised me a whole lot of things for trade of things that they want. But I wasn't willing to devalue in order to give it to them. But I give it to someone else because there's some value in them that I can see that other people in the world don't value. Whether it's, so it's not about, oh, well, this person is not on the spectrum, or this person is too far on the spectrum. I have worked with people who are so far down the spectrum that they can't see no way to reach those people. But now, in this current modern time, we've reached those people. I've done things so we can reach shut-ins, people who ain't gonna go out in the public anyway. And now we are perpetuating that reach, that outreach more than we ever have before. So when you ask what my donation is, I don't mean to brag, I don't mean to boast, but I do mean to inform and give you facts. Look my name up. Tina Phillips, Tina R.M. Phillips, Tina Rosetta Marie Phillips. Go look up my writing, look up my academic contributions and donations. I didn't get paid for those things, but I did give it. I paid to go to the schools where I presented those factual studies, those factual enlightenments that have donated and contributed to the enlightenment of the global industry and the theories relative to them. Go look it up. Go find my book. Read my book. Go see the information that's in it. The study, all the sources that I put in there. That book is not really 123 pages. I have sources and pages of sources and pages of vocabulary words. And there's other things in there that will help trigger your formal logic. Fundamentally, I can't say it in the way that we are contrived in brick and mortar and this broken system. I can't classify it in those manners, but as being fundamental, because what they classify as fundamental is not necessarily formal logic. The formal logic derives directly from God calling you into existence, and he put something in your brain. You already had brain wrinkles there. He put some stuff there, and it's not going to go away. And that's why we have these mental health breaks, these breakdowns that we're having. And it's not an anomaly. It is not unusual. It is across the board, and it's inevitable, because you can't go that way. And I tried to tell people when I was writing that dissertation and it went global in 2022. I tried to, but I'm only one person. So I'm here on social media, volunteering this time to try to break it down to you so that you can process it and digest it, so your mental health is more stable. And I'm not bringing it to you under any particular labels, just my name, Tina R.M. Phillips. Go Google me. Find more factual information. Find the truth. Find the facts that's going to help you. Not just because you can afford it, but because you need it mentally, physically, for your generational wealth. I try not to, go around telling people, but please like, share, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. And if you have a request that you want to put out here for me to inform you, put it out there, ask a question. But remember, don't throw accusations out there, because I'm human. I'm flesh. I might end up telling you and having Freudian slips and saying some things that might have been better said nicely. So let me be nice. That's all I'm saying. Hey, Grandpa, what do you say? Preach punch. That's my name. That's my name. But I'm just saying, I'm just trying to help you. But don't attack the messenger, because there are many messengers, but they not giving it to you for free. And they not breaking it down and sitting there holding your hand. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to do what I can for as long as I'm led to do it. And when I'm not led to do it anymore, don't try looking for me, because you won't be able to find me. I'm just saying. But remember, this is a recorded episode. You can go back and binge watch it. Try to watch it 3 times, each time having a different perspective to help improve your ability to process and digest the information. Remember, mental health is physical wealth. See you next episode. Mental health is physical wealth.